Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Hashem Rahaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopefully elect. It's the brother Isaiah with the Pittsburgh GMS camp, coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rahaha Kodash. Lord willing, this is edifying. All right, and I just want to go to this quick lesson real quick. All right, and basically it's kind of backing off of what I was speaking about last time, but just going into it a little more in depth, And there's a lot going on, as I said in my last lesson, in the news. All right, and there's a lot of things that are interesting prophetically that can come to pass. Okay, one of those big things that we're waiting on is the persecution. Okay, the persecution coming down upon us. All right, of course, the mark of the beast is very important. Also, but like I said, well, of course, primarily we're waiting for that mark to come. Okay, because that's going to signify, uh, that we're right there. We're pretty much here, but we're just waiting on a few things to get worked out. All right, so that the persecution can come on full force. All right. So the mark is one of those things, but also they have to set up the framework for, in the eyes of the people, it will be justified for them to come against us. All right. So Salakia. So this is what we see here in the works. Okay. Now, meanwhile, while this George Floyd trial, is entering into day 9, tomorrow I believe will be day 9. Today was day 8, which I was recording the footage, but I don't know how much of it I'm gonna use. It's really a lot. It's too much for real. Too many testimonies and so on and so forth, but it's just too much going on. But meanwhile, while this is going on, different bills are being pushed and trying to get passed in the background. All right, they can lay the framework for the persecution. All right, and so let's see. I don't, there's a lot. I'm trying to figure out where to begin. All right, let's look here. All right, so this is an article says, "Don't muddy the objectives on fighting domestic extremism." All right, this is a day ago. Says the Battle of Capitol Hill was a watershed. Salakia. So I believe this is speaking about, on January 6th. If I'm not mistaken, this is when they stormed the Capitol. All right. All right. It's fueled momentum for new approaches and laws to counter attacks by domestic violent extremists. Department of Homeland Security. Now we see who was the face of that attack. All right. It wasn't Jake. It wasn't so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. We weren't the face of that attack. All right. It was, Edomites. All right. Primarily, and you can see was those Edomites. Okay. Those extremists. Those Trump supporters. All right. They were the main ones perpetrating that act. All right. So, and one of the things that I mentioned before and that I'm going to mention again is that one of the things that Biden said in his campaign was that he was going to fight systemic racism. Okay. Biden systemic racism. Okay. All right. Let's just get the first one that comes up. Biden claiming systemic racism in policing defies science. All right. And this was on March 5th, 2021. He said, absolutely, President Biden said last year when a reporter asked him if he believes there's systemic racism in law enforcement. He said, that's hard to square with presidential memorandum. It's the policy of my administration to make evidence-based decisions, guided, blah, blah, blah. The claim of systemic racism in law enforcement defies the best available science and data. Well, that's false. All right, because systemically, we populate the jails more. A higher percentage of us populate the jails than other races, man. So-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, and there's a higher percentage of wrongful accusations and charges being put. You don't see other races, where you see those stories where it's like guy gets out after being wrongly accused. I just saw one today, where a guy was exonerated for rape charges after doing like, I forget how many years he did. Accused. Right. Let's get the news on it because it was recent. Let's just hit past 7 days. Bombay High Court recently granted pre-arrest bail to a man accused of raping a woman for 10 years after she submitted an affidavit stating that the investigator a reporter had made her. Oh, this says the Hindu. So this is in Bombay, Slovakia. Well, anyway, I can't really find it, but gives clean chit to rape accused who. Okay. Whatever the point is, man, you see more of this happening to Jake than you do from other nations. I'm not gonna go into it. That's in India. So, this is happening all across the world, which, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are actually the biblical Israelites, are spread throughout all nations, and they're under the curses. But the point is, here in America, Babylon the Great, more things happen. You don't see so-called Edomites getting killed, okay, on the street corners, and there being no justice. Okay, this only fits the Israelites. Let's get a precept on that, because one thing about it is we can try to go to the data and try to figure out a little different shit like that according to Esau's knowledge, but that's not what we lean upon. We lean upon the truth of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Zechariah 11:5 says, who's possessed, matter of fact, let's read 4. Thus saith Yahweh my power, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh. For I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. So first of all, our possessors slay us. Who possesses us? Well, we were brought here in cargo slave ships, all right, by the so-called white man, which is the Edomites, all right, which it says, and they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh. And a lot of these Christians, so-called Christians, the KKK was a so-called Christian group, and they were saying, blessed be the Lord, that these niggas and jigaboos and all this stuff was in slavery. They were blessing the name of the Most High and pushing it, you see that one thing where that guy is slapping that Hamite and he's saying, look at Jesus. He's pointing at himself saying, look at Jesus. You look at Jesus when he's talking to you, because that false image and that narrative, that Caesar Borgia, okay, a so-called white man, an Edomite, all right, was and also that image of Serapis Christus saying that was the Messiah and pushing that image on the world. Okay. So let's get it. Verse 5, who possess or slay them and hold themselves not guilty. That only fits you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, as we see with this whole this whole Chauvin, Derek Chauvin, George Floyd trial. All right. So anyway, moving along. So this, that's bullshit right there, saying it goes against the science. All right. But the point is, all right, Biden, one of the big things where Biden, and let me go here, because he literally said that. Here we go. This was in 2021. It says January 27, 2021. Signing executive orders to combat discrimination, President Joe Biden pledges action against systemic racism in all areas of U.S. society. This was one of the things that Biden said he was going to do, is to combat systemic racism. And then here you have it with this big trial that's going on and extending out over days and days. Okay, meanwhile, what's going on in the background is, all right, he's saying one thing like most of these presidents do, but really there's a secret agenda behind this, man. All right. And this is, there's a lot of articles here. I'm going to pull precepts as the Spirit gives them to me, but I got a few articles to run through and I don't want to make it too long. I got a few precepts pulled up, but it's mainly going to be article based, and like I said, as the Spirit wills, I'll pull out more precepts. So, oh man. All right, let's read this. Okay. So there's the domestic extremism. 9/11, domestic extremists have killed more people than homegrown jihadists. Okay. What is the core objective? Terrorism and extremism are not random attacks. They are forms of political violence. All right. Political figures are dealing with increased threats. How to limit the growth of extremist movements. I'm about to skip this one. Unless I see something interesting. Words and terms matter. Would a domestic terrorism law be helpful? All right. Political protests, if contact becomes bad enough, criminal laws can be applied. Still, there's a lot of momentum toward passing a new domestic terrorism law, reflecting a desire to draw attention to the problem and to close a moral equivalency gap with international terrorism. If government has been timid, it was a lack of political consistency. Prosecuting attacks and plots as ordinary crime may be preferable. What other laws might be? How can radicalization be prevented? How do we first do no harm? Blah blah blah. So you can see that there's wording. Let's just see that there's wording. There's talks of fighting domestic terrorism. Now let's move to this next one, right? And I'm gonna get it. But Pentagon training promotes left wing racism. Now this came out today, all right, at 12:01 a.m. All right, which would have been what? Either way, this came out on April 8th. All right, at 12 midnight. Looks like. All right, in the name of fighting extremism and racism, President's Department of Defense is promoting racial extremism. On this initiative, the Pentagon should stand down. All right, let's get down to it. So one of the things that they're using, all right, let's get to the point. There's a lot. The order came in response to reports and fears that the number of white supremacists and other domestic terrorists, such as anti-government violent extremists, was growing among U.S. armed forces personnel. So this was the original premise, that there was more domestic terrorism growing among the United Armed Forces and that they needed to crack down on it, right? This is what it says right here. In February, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordered that every service member should participate in a stand down or a training session to address and counteract extremism in the ranks. The order came in response to reports and fears that the number of white supremacists and other domestic terrorists, such as anti-government violent extremists, was growing among the U.S. Armed Forces personnel. So this is where it started, right? That there was extremism and white supremacy, and that they need to nip it in the bud. White supremacism is a serious ill, even if some may have said the concern was overblown, which they always try to gloss over, okay, how serious it really is. All right, that there's Edomites running around killing Jake, which that's how the Lord set it up in the scriptures. All right. It was at least defensible and even laudable as long as it focused on concrete actions and military responsibilities. Alas, and perhaps predictably, the program has devolved, not just into socialist justice nonsense that is not properly the province of the armed forces, but into the promotion of claptrap that exacerbates racial divides rather than heals them. Now let me see what this word claptrap means, okay? But basically, what they're saying is they ain't doing what they said they was gonna do at all. You see? A trick to catch an applause, cheap, showy language, nonsense, and rubbish. Okay, so a trick, all right? Let's get it. Let's get a precept. And it's not a surprise because this is one of the blessings of the devil, or I should say one of the things he inherited from the serpent. All right. Which is this deceit, man. He's a master of it. Psalms 50 and 19 says, matter of fact, Psalms 50 and 16, but unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instruction, and castest my words behind thee? When thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue framest deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. All right. And so that's basically what this Edomite is doing. Okay. He's laying out the framework to secretly demonize the Hebrew Israelites even more and more. Because, there's all these other groups that are going to get caught in the pathway, these people that do these different things, wokeism and so on and so forth. But really, this is to get the Hebrew Israelites caught in a trap. You got to understand that it says that, he was against his elect. He was against the elect of the Most High. Let's get this real quick. All right. Believe it's either 64 or 62. Psalm 64 and 1. Hear my voice, O power, in my prayer. Preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bow to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him, and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying sneers privily. They say, who shall see them? You see? And so this is what these Edomites are doing. They're laying a trap against, okay, Let me see. I think there's another one where it says a lot again. I'm going to, yeah, Psalms 2:2 says, 2:1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. All right, and this is what they're doing. They're secretly plotting against Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. It's all tying together, man, and there's so much going on. They got the Space Force. They're coming out more openly about the chariots. You're seeing more chariot sightings. Brothers is posting more clearer videos of the chariots where it ain't no question that, yeah, that was a chariot. You got the Tic Tac chariot came out. You got all type of stuff going on. You got them talking about this extremism. Bro, it's so much shit going on, you see, and then meanwhile you got wickedness increasing, like that little nasty X did that whole Satan shit on the day of the Pesach. It's all type of stuff going on a high level, man, a high vibration of wickedness. And meanwhile, while they're distracting people with this George Floyd trial, they're setting up the framework to come get that, for that insurrection to come upon the children of Israel, man, the ones who believe in particular, but the whole nation gonna get in trouble, man, or enter into Jacob's trouble. You see, all right, the whole nation gonna enter into Jacob's trouble, man, whether they want to or not, man. All right, the claptrap, okay, but into the promotion of claptrap or trickery, okay, that exacerbates racial divides rather than heals them. What the Lord said, he didn't come for unity, he came for division, man. That's what Yahweh Shah said. Credit to Heritage Foundation's daily signal for unearthing the disturbing new information about these particular stand-downs. The outlet published the agenda for a March 22 all-hands meeting that fleshed out the policy to address extremism. The agenda included 4 pages of additional resources that leaders should consult to aid in these stand-down sessions. There was no letter from Birmingham jail, blah, blah, blah. Let's read here. Among the recommended resources is the Southern Poverty Law Center, the wealthy, widely discredited, and discreditable left-wing organization that wrongly includes ordinary conservative outlets among its once vaunted list of hate groups in the United States, all right? And some of those groups, some of those lists on the Southern Poverty Law Center, which this is their website, okay, is the Hebrew Israelites. And as you see this word on the screen, this is what we're categorized as for speaking the truth. Okay, like the scriptures talk about, man. They say that this is what we promote right here because, the scriptures talk about them that say they are, Jews and are not, all right, but are the synagogue of Satan, right? So let's move on, all right? And hopefully that ain't enough to get a strike, but, yeah. Yeah, just even quoting the scripture, man. It just came out, all right? I might have to edit that joint. But anyway, but as you saw what it said on the screen, man. All right. Pentagon training promotes left-wing racism. So let's get back. So there was a point right here, among other radical resources. All right. Make sure. Justin F. Yeah. Among other radical tracks and videos in the list, resources. Okay. The words are 2 books by the radical Ibram X. Kendi, a charlatan who got rich, spreading the noxious message that in effect all, are inherently racist and all so-called blacks are inherently victims, which it ain't really about white and black. That's the misconception. It's about Edomite versus Jacob. Okay, it's about the other nations really versus Jacob, all right? Which Jacob, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and you will come looking like all the other nations. So really, it goes deeper than what this guy is talking about, all right? But this is just, like I said, a framework. Okay, it says, for your information, variety in the words of resources lists how to be an anti-racist is an electrifying combination of ethics, history, and law that is an essential work for anyone who wants to go beyond the awareness of racism to the next step. It says, no, it's not electrifying, it's not essential, blah, blah, blah. Okay, meanwhile, last we checked, it isn't the military's duty. Indeed, it is entirely out of the military's purview to be involved in forming, which I believe this is like duty, or they're always using these big words where you be like, what that mean? Let's get it, purview. body of statute, the substance of an act, a law. Okay, so basically, it's pretty much unlawful for them to be doing this. To be involved in forming a just and equitable society, you see where it's heading. You know, they're trying to be social justice warriors now. The U.S. has a vibrant civic culture, and when necessary, domestic branches of the government to work on those goals. Thank you very much. The Pentagon's job isn't to promote equity or social justice. Its job, as the Posse Comitatus Act makes clear, is certainly not to weed out extremist groups within U.S. borders. Its job absolutely is not to teach soldiers and sailors and airmen that the U.S. is an inherently racist country. Its job instead is singular and direct, to prepare so well to win wars that we can deter war from happening at all. All right, so basically you see it, man. It says it pushed in the past few months. It goes well beyond the duty to ensure that white supremacists don't infiltrate the ranks. Okay, this agenda should be kicked out. So basically, they're going into which really there's something I want to get on here. Imbibe. Yeah, I looked these words up for a reason. Yeah, here it goes. It wasn't a balanced list of scholarly research on neo-Nazis and white supremacists. Instead, the Pentagon was telling its men and women to imbibe tendentious works of hard-left organizations and writers and of black separatists. All right, so let's get that word imbibe. Imbibe means to absorb or to assimilate ideas or knowledge. Tendentious means expressing or intending to promote a particular cause or point of view, especially a controversial one. So what they were being told is to absorb these controversial works of hard left organizations, and of the point I want to get is of black separatists, okay? Because the so-called Hebrew Israelites will fit into that label of black separatists. And I'm Salakia, man, I'm reading a lot. I'm trying to read fast, because like I said, it's mostly an article-based lesson here. All right, so that's that one. All right, and you just see it here, man. They promote, this one came out on the 6th. Pentagon promotes radical resources to kill extremism in ranks. So I guess this is when it came out that they were speaking about certain things, and there's a radical reading list, and they're targeting violent extremism. There's prohibited activity. Okay. Policies and procedures, scheduling, stand down, eliminate extremist behaviors. All right. And so basically what we're doing here is considered as extreme. I saw a brother post a video that said one of the biggest threats is remembering who we are. All right. One of the biggest threats to these people is remembering who we are. All right. And so, that's what's coming out. That's what's coming about, man. There's going to be wording put forth where, we're going to be considered a hate group. There's a lot of ways that there's a lot of ways and angles that the devil could use to try to further demonize the Hebrew Israelites and just put us in this status of being ultimately wicked and being the devil. All right. And, it could be a medical type of deal. It could be a terrorism type of deal, but more than likely it will be a terrorism type of deal. It'll have to be as extreme as being threats to the safety of everybody getting along, because they'll get a lot of Jake involved with it too, because they're gonna we don't know yet. We don't know what they're gonna do, man. My wife had a dream that I haven't really spoken on too much yet because I don't know how it's gonna play out, but she does have dreams that be coming to pass. This particular dream, she was saying that there was there was another Jake that got killed in some type of crazy way, and basically Jake got all riled up. Now, like I said, I'm not saying this is a prophecy or anything like that, but what I am saying is the scriptures do talk about, okay, Jake being roused up, okay. A lot. Get this. Genesis 4:9 says, Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as a old lion, who shall rouse him up? And we know that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is going to rouse up, okay, Judah first, all right, to lead the charge, all right, these 2/3 of the house of Israel, all right, are gonna lead the charge against these Edomites, man. You know, these wicked, oppressive things that are going on, because Jake is getting tired of it, man. You know, I was speaking with a Jake briefly when I was getting some gas, and you know, I asked him about this whole trial situation. He was like, you know, he was angry. He said he's angry. He's got a lot of justified anger and so on and so forth. And you know, it's only so long before Jake get tired of this shit, man. Jake gonna get tired of this shit, and it's going down. You know, it's just going down. It's just all up to the Most High when it goes down. Okay. And I don't think I'm gonna go in too much on this, man. You know, you get this thing about racial equity. You know, one of Biden's plans was that he was going to push this, man. All right, and somehow, some way, they're going to use all this to bring this to pass, man. Matthew 10:22 says, "And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth unto the end shall be saved." All right, so that's going to come to pass. Also, 2 Ezra 16:68, which I've been bringing this out a lot lately. "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and reproach, and trodden under foot. There shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. And they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord." And we're going to be like high value targets. You know, it's going to be like a there's going to be bounties on our heads. You know what I'm saying? Hey, get them niggas and we'll pay you. We'll pay you, you know, and then with all the poverty and shit, with all the starvation and stuff that's going to be happening amongst certain Jakes, they're going to be ready to give us up, you know? But, you know, the Lord got us if we're of the elect. So, I've done a lot of talking. You know, Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. No honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopefully elect. And with that, I'm going to say Shalom, Wa Abba, Shalom.